Hey y'all, this is Lantern here with my latest zoo testing. I'm going to be going on to a series after this where I'm testing a bunch of different variants. I've actually got it all set up where I do a dark zoo variant, Gruul zoo variant, a tribal zoo variant, and a big zoo variant, as well as just normal zoo variant, all using Atarka's command. On the zoo thread, Collected Company's been talked about, and people have started to use it now. In my testing, after I was suggested by Sakpu tested Collected Company actually quite a lot prior to his PPTQ, and he top 8'd with it strictly off of Collected Company's power level. This guy is really cheap right now. I think it's about 1 to 2 ticks depending on where you're looking at it. I would pick it up if you're a zoo player. I'd pick up just 4 copies of it. It probably go into Maverick Bant stuff. It's actually really powerful in Modern, I think. In my small amount of testing with it, I did have a Johnny's here prior because I liked it for the Red Deck Wins matchup, but Collected Company is just better. It's just better all around. It's a little bit worse against Red Deck Wins unless you're, for example, casting it and getting Core Firewalker off of it or something. But it is actually a very good card. It's just stupid good. Basically, dig through Time and Green Sun Zenith in one card for a zoo deck, which is fantastic. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about that too much. The reason why I'm doing all this testing with these different zoo types is strictly because of Atarka's Command. Atarka's Command is my favorite spell, I think, other than the Lightning Bolt. I really like Atarka's Command. It is, for zoo, a 2-mana, 5 damage burn spell, and it's in colors, which gives it the nod over Tribal Flames, in my opinion. It's actually really versatile in the fact that it can save your dudes from a lightning bolt. If you're using the 3-ass people for it, it can. The land card has never really been relevant. I think I used it once to power up a knight pretty quickly, and I used it I think once when I needed emergency life gain prevention, and then still have removal mana. I think that was the only time I ever used it. The land drop. It's better than the big zoos variants, but it's weird because you kind of Tarkus Command wants you to have a lot of little creatures and also wants you to ramp. So this is the best sort of like hybrid build I can think of that uses Collected Company on the big end and also Tarkus Command for these smaller end dudes. Tarkus Command actually plays really well with Collected Company anyways because, again, it's like 5 damage off this guy. The anti-life gain is more relevant than you think of. It can even help in corner cases like when you're attacking into a worm coil and you're going to win as long as he doesn't gain that 6 life and you Atarka's Command to stop that. It is actually very relevant in a lot of situations. It's good against combo because it helps you race. It's good against mid range because it helps you get bigger and helps you have reach. It's good against like burn removal decks because it helps you keep your creatures out of burn range and deals damage and stops them from stabilizing through with life gain. It's just good value. There's just never any point in time where Atarka's Command is dead in this kind of deck, which is fantastic. To run Atarka's Command, you need at least 10 1 converted mana cost beaters. I tried running 8 and it didn't work. I tried running upwards to 16, and it worked fine. It just had 1 drop stranded in my hand when the optimal time for casting a Atarka's Command would be turn 3, turn 4. I found 10 is the perfect number, and it allows you to actually put in more like utility, like Wasali Pride Mage, Tarmogoyf, and the 3-drop guys. So that way, while you're still using Atarka's Command's 1/1 to its fullest extent, you are also still being aggressive if you don't have it. It also plays well with Collected Company in the fact that Atarka's Command wants you to have creatures, just point blank. It just wants you to cast creatures so that it can get that 1/1. So that's why things like Wasali Pride Mage get like sort of a nod over like other kinds of removal, like for example Lightning Helix, because it's a dude and it can swing still. The Kitchen Finks, I found that having about 6 3 converted mana cost beaters at the top end is pretty good enough for a Collected Company. If you get a Collected Company and get any mix of either a 1 mana dude and a 3 mana dude, two 2 mana dudes, is parity. It's very good. You're giving instant speed with an upside of not having to cast any more of its casting cost. If you manage to hit like a 3 converted mana cost and a 2 converted mana cost, or awesomeness, 2 3 converted mana costs, you're gaining mana in that respect. But I found that 6 was enough to really get me with the aggression. I could have Kitchen Finks, who's not bad on its own, in the fact that we're in a lot of like 1-for-1 meta where there's a lot of aggression happening through burn. There's also a lot of removal from Twin and Junk. So Kitchen Finks becomes better because it's a beater that when it dies it comes back in that respect, and it also has the upside of life gain. Plus, it's really nice to find off Collected Company when you're against red deck wins or against an aggressive deck. And this is the curve I made it, and so the curve so that you can see it: 18 1 drops, 12 2 drops, 8 3 drops, and then the 2 collected companies at the top end. I actually think this deck is really, really powerful. And also I should also say there's Knight of the Reliquary in it, and her job is strictly to find Keswick Wolf Run to beat through Lingering Souls tokens. I got 11 fetch lands to power up, which is fine enough in a small zoo. In a bigger zoo, you want to do a full 12, but you're also running a 22 land count generally. A full set of basics, yes, a basic mountain included, because sometimes against red deck wins or against aggressive deck, you want to find a basic mountain to cast your spells, for example, like Atarka's Command, but you don't want to take the life damage from it. So yes, I will take a basic mountain over something else to fetch with Knight. It's just better overall. And then just the normal amount of pain lands. Not pain lands, excuse me, shock lands. But this has been basically what I want to do. Yeah, I don't want to have voice, just because I'm not hitting enough blue decks, although we'll see after I do this daily. Qasali Pride Mage is just generally better because you can play it against red deck wins and pop it and kill Eidolon. It's also good against Twin. It's good against just a myriad of decks right now. Qasali Pride Mage has been overperforming in my testing lately. Moving on to the sideboard. This is not a sideboard I would suggest. It's pretty good, but there's actually some stuff in it that I would like to change. I need to get a hold of, like I said, Jamoka's Command, which I think is fantastic in sideboard. Only sideboard. Would not play it main board, but I think it's fantastic in sideboard, strictly speaking, because it helps you condense your sideboard spaces. Jamoka's Command can be hate against Twin, against aggro decks because of the fight clause and the 1/1. It can actually be used occasionally against midrange. I wouldn't suggest siding it in, but it can be used against midrange. If it's like something like, I don't know, a hate bear midrange, it becomes more valuable. Not necessarily a Jund midrange, but it's good against it's even good against the red based controlled decks that are trying to use things like Anger the Gods. It's good against prison control decks. It's got a myriad of good usage, and it actually condenses a lot of sideboard slots. I would like to have more red deck wins hate other than these 3 core Firewalkers, and that would have been the 2 Jamoka's Command, because then I could also maybe shave off like a Choke and a Vines of Vastwood, which come in against like the Twin matchup, or the Rendering Follies, which come in against the Twin matchup and aren't really necessarily the best in other places. But this is what I can do without it. Kind of stinks. I wish I had those Jamoka Commands, like I said. But this is fine for now. The Vines actually come in against the attritioneer matchups, so like things like the control decks or the junk decks. And by junk, mind you, I don't mean Little King Junk. I actually don't side it in against Little Kid Junk. Against Little Kid Junk, well, I'm sorry, I do side it in against Little Kid Junk. I don't side in Blood Moon against Little King Junk. But Bloom is actually starting to really pick up in Steam since it didn't get banned. It's also good against junk. It's good against the control decks, so I like to bring in these guys against that. On the flip end, against like the control decks, you have Choke, but it's also good against Twin, good against Merfolk, which is some of the meta. It's good against Delver, showing up. There's a lot more Grixis Delver than there used to be. And I actually think it's stupid when they run Blood Moon in their side, because Blood Moon really does hurt them more than it does Zudek. They actually bring it in against us. I don't know why, but they do. I'd like to see more when I have Jamoka's Command in here. Maybe a couple more creatures that I can get off of a Collected Company. So far, the only creature I can really get off of it that's worth a damn here is Caxi War Mage. Yes, you can go Core Firewalker off of it too, but by that point, Red Deck wins, you are probably losing. But things like getting a Thalia off of it would be good. I know it's probably better in Big Zoo, but there might be some other like hate bearers that I'm just not thinking of off the top of my head. The kitchen Finks actually came in from the side, but it was in the side previously. The Rendering Volley is a new card. Again, we got a lot of additions from this. It's twin hate. It's also good against Little Kid. It's good against Delver. It's good against yeah, again, like I said, twin. It's also good against Merfolk. It's got usage. If you guys don't know what I'm going off of, KT Ken in MTG Salvation has a modern metagame breakdown that he like, keeps constantly updated with dailies. And that's what I generally pull off to know what I should consider my gauntlet for what I'll see in dailies. I'm really worried that I'm just going to see burn all day today, and these three Core Firewalkers aren't going to be enough. But right now, there's a lot of junk. There's a lot of twin. I think this list is pretty well stationed against it. It's not so great against junk, I'm going to be honest with you. But against twin, I have yet to lose in my testing. Just between things like Luxodon Smiter, Night of the Reliquary, stuff they can't burn out. The main deck with Sali Pride Mages, the speed that Atarka's command gives you. The Path to Exiles, the Chokes, the Vines, Dramalka's command. Again, that was in Cockatrice testing, but not necessarily MTGO testing. Rendering Volley, I just actually have a really, really good game against Twin. It's unusual. I mean, if I don't pull any of the cards that I need out and they just have the turn 3 Twin, turn 3 X-Arch, turn 4 Twin, I lose, but most of the time it doesn't happen. So, you know. Caxis 4 Mage is a little iffy. I don't know. I had a Stony Silence in there prior, but I'm thinking, I've got a collected company. Why not? And I've got an open slot. Why not go with this? Daily should start anytime soon. So thanks for listening.